All right, so people keep asking for it, so I figured, fuck it, we might as well do it. Um, Plot holes. Now the Future Trunks video is doing like really well, and people keep having questions regarding certain aspects of Future Trunks timeline that don't make sense. Um, Toriyama, basically no one has ever basically gone back and filled in the major plot holes. So let's actually break down the major plot holes. Number one, Goku, and the fact that he never contacts Trunks or never contacts future Gohan in any way, shape, or form. Now, we've seen multiple times that when Goku dies and he goes to Otherworld, he'll usually go to either King Yema or he'll continue on down Snake Road and go to King Kai and then basically relay his information through King Kai to whoever's left on Earth. Upon Goku's death, all of the situations that were basically happening on Earth, Goku never used King Kai or King Yema to, number one, contact Gohan, let him know about the hyperbolic time chamber, let him know about any way in which he could essentially train to become stronger. And number two, he never went to King Yema to ask if King Yema could basically revive him for a day or talk to what's her name? Yaba? Baba? I don't remember her name, the witch that he's basically related to who can revive people from the dead. He doesn't go and he doesn't ask basically one of them to be revived for a day. Goku just basically accepts the situation as is. How exactly could Goku have remedied this entire situation with the future timeline? He can go to King Yema, ask for a pass to basically be revived for a day, instant transmission over to Namek, grab Dende, instant transmission back to Earth, set Dende up as the new Guardian, summon the new version of Shenron, wish away the androids, or do something. Goku could have basically done something to basically assist both future Gohan and Trunks in some way, shape, or form. He doesn't do it. Upon Goku's death, he just basically vanishes from the story of the future timeline and he never returns in any way, shape, or form. Number two, King Kai. King Kai doesn't play any significant role in the Future Trunks timeline in any way, shape, or form. He doesn't contact any of the Z fighters. He doesn't bring them to his world for training. He doesn't inform them about anything that's going on. King Kai just doesn't exist. He doesn't pop up. He doesn't go and speak to Trunks. Now we know that Supreme Kai exists because Supreme Kai ends up showing up and assisting Trunks in beating Boo when Boo basically shows up during his own saga. But for the most part, King Kai doesn't show up in any way, shape, or form. Doesn't assist the Z fighters in any way, shape, or form. As an extension of that, when the Zero Warriors all lose and they all die, we never hear from any of them ever again. Piccolo doesn't go down Snake Way to go speak with King Kai so that he can talk to Gohan and walk Gohan through something in order to assist him in beating the androids. Nothing happens with those characters in any way, shape, or form. Because we do know that if Piccolo had died and he knew that Gohan was going to be the only one left back on Earth, Piccolo would have went to King Kai and been like, "Yo, I need to speak with Dende on New Namek," and King Kai would have moved mountains to make sure that they would have been able to link up so that then they could come to Earth and become the new warden, and then they could have had Shenron to start wishing people back, or just basically wish away the androids in general. The hyperbolic time chamber and it's an extension. Korin's tower and then the Guardian's tower. Uh, no idea. Once again, Future Trunks timeline does not tell us what happened there. Now, we do get something in the form of Yajirobe in Super, where Yajirobe says that Korin pushed him out of the tower before the androids could destroy it. So there's a high probability that the Guardian's Tower was the very first place that the androids went to and they destroyed it first, which is why We never see Mr. Popo. We never see Corn. We don't have Sensu beans. Things along those lines. It could be if we're to take what Yajirobe basically says at face value, that at some point in time the androids show up and they just wipe out Corrin's tower, and by extension wipe out the Guardian's tower, since it's also like directly above it as well, which is why we don't see Corrin or Mr. Popo, or have Mr. Popo go and get Gohan to put Gohan in the hyperbolic time chamber so that he can train. It's never explained. We get just surface level information from Yajirobe, and then we never circle back to it, and then everyone's basically dead in that timeline anyway. Um, Somebody asked why was it that Bulma was willing to build a time machine instead of building the what's it called, a spaceship to basically go to New Namek. I don't know if I don't know if it counts as, in my head. I don't even think I can justify that one, because it would be a whole lot easier to simply um go to New Namek, get Dende or get the Namekians, bring them back, and basically make a wish. Like, the androids are just flying around the planet blowing things up anyway. You figure out where the androids are, and then you summon the dragon on the opposite side of the planet. It would make the most sense that you would go through those steps. Like, before you even arrive at Time Machine, you'd be like, we need to go to where the Namekians essentially are. There are issues with that. Number one, it took Goku scanning like most of space to detect the faint traces of the Namekian's energy, and then instant transmissioning over to that location. And then Goku even makes the remark that, this was a really, really, really far trip that he had to make in order to get here. So it is a possibility that building a spaceship and basically leaving the planet, going all the way to New Namek, and then turning around and coming back would have been a really long and arduous trip. And Bulma just did not have the resources for that type of large scale operation. What is a lot simpler, in my opinion, is building a simple one man craft, which we need to talk about the logistics of this craft, because the first time we see Trunks' spaceship in Z, only he can fit in it. And then when it returns back in Super, it's like everybody can fit in that bad boy. It was like Trunks, Mai, Bulma, somebody else over there, somebody else in the back, Vegeta and Goku hanging on from the outside. It was crazy. But initially, only Trunks could sit in the time machine. It makes a lot more sense that Bulma would have went for the small scale project, which would have yielded a lot more hope than a large scale project, such as building something that the androids would basically see leaving Earth, and then they would pursue it and try to destroy it. But those are basically like the major. I feel as though we've hit all of the major plot holes for the most part. There's arguments in the comment section about Gohan's power level, and about the fact that, he was in the trenches fighting the androids for 15 years, so he should have got stronger. No. If you've never gotten your ass beat, like, religiously, there's no there's no gaining strength from getting your ass beat. There's also no gaining strength from training with somebody who's weaker than you. You could basically look at Brawly in the most recent Brawly movie as a major example. All he had was Paragus on the planet, and because of that, it hampered his growth. And it took him fighting, getting his ass beat, getting back up, and continuing to battle Vegeta and Goku to unlock his full potential. Having only Trunks there to train with, and then getting your ass basically beat in by both of the androids that are way stronger than their past counterparts. And the reason for that has to do with one major thing. Dr. Gero put everything into the creation of these two androids. When he created 17 and 18, he put his all into making them the best of the best. When Trunks went back in time and he basically changed the timeline, Dr. Gero pulled a lot of the resources that he was going to put into 17 and 18 and put it into 19. Then he put it into 20 and he put it into himself. Which is the reason why 17, 18 in the past are actually weaker than 17 and 18 in the future, who basically got all of the resources shoved into them to make them as dangerous and as powerful as possible. But yeah, those are basically all the major plot holes that come to mind when I think about the Future Trunks timeline. Super did not help in any way, shape, and form in basically fixing a lot of the issues that Trunks' timeline basically creates, because it's like everyone in Trunks' timeline, at the moment of their death, they just cease to exist. So maybe something else was going on in that timeline that we've just never been introduced to. But usually, from a Dragon Ball Z, GT, and Super perspective, we know that when characters die, they basically go to Otherworld. And when you get to Otherworld, you can go meet King Kai, Grand Kai, take part in the Tournament of Death, train with King Kai. King Kai can contact people back on Earth. We know of all these things, but I feel as though Toriyama basically wrote the Future Trunks timeline to fit the narrative without fully fleshing it out so that we can see everything that's happening in the background. But yeah, that's basically that. People are probably gonna complain again, but I'm like, hey, like you're dealing with something narratively that the person who created the source material never sat down and fleshed out himself. So there are going to be major plot holes and issues for the most part, but what can you do? Let me know what you think. Let me know any other plot holes that I missed that you noticed from the Future Tongues timeline. Comment down below, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.